is up, fellow Actitos? I'm trying a different placement with my mic today. Last video I made, the audio was terrible. I apologize. It's a little windy, so I'll try to talk loud and maybe it'll pick up my voice. I probably need to get a new mic. Everyone seems to use the DJI ones. I just got one off of Amazon. Doesn't seem to work that well. Anyways, so Honda Acties. If you own one and you are in a Honda Acty group online somewhere, I'm sure you have seen this question come up before. Can I replace my CV axle boot with a split boot? Because I don't want to have to pull my axle. That's what we're going to be doing today. I would say 99% of the time, it would be a very good idea just to pull the axle and replace the boots. Inner, outer, might as well, you got the whole thing off. But this one actually looks like it literally just split, like within the time that this guy freshly imported this one. Literally went to the port and he took it from the port to my place to work on. So there's not even flung grease a little bit, but it looks like the boot just cracked and will tear and start flinging grease. So this is where a situation would be if it's a fresh split, and you just catch it, a split boot would be a good alternative to yanking the whole axle. If it is torn and it's been torn and you're flinging grease everywhere, there's a good chance that water and dirt and stuff has gotten inside. So at that point, it's really good to take the whole axle off and just replace the whole boot, because then you can separate the CV axle end off the hash shaft and clean everything and make sure you get all the dirt and everything out. But like I said, this one is just cracked, hasn't been driven except for from the port and then on a trailer and then on off the trailer to my property. So, and it's kind of funny because I bought boots for the Acty knowing that I needed to replace them, not knowing that they were split boots. So I'm really excited to try the split boot because this might be a good option for me to kind of help save time and money for customers who bring their Ks here, because it's way less work intensive or whatever if I'm just doing a boot instead of having to pull the axle, disconnecting all the ball joints and suspension. It's a lot more work. So if I can just cut the boot off, clean it, and then put a split boot on it, this will save a lot of time and money for the customer. So again, I bought this boot unknown to me. It was a split boot. This is actually called a melt joint boot. It is made by Mazda. It is a Mazda genuine part. So this obviously fits the Acty because who I buy parts from had this listed as an alternative to the Honda Acty boot. This was a much better idea for me because it came with the grease and it came with the clamps. If you buy the Honda boot, which I would highly recommend getting the Honda boot, than the cheap Chinese UTV ones that you can usually buy in the States. I've usually seen those last a month, if that, and they rip again. So I try to stay away from those cheap ones. I like to just go straight to Japan, but whatever fits your budget is what you're going to go with, because most of the guys sell the ATV cheap Chinese ones over here in the States. But if you go straight to Japan, then you can get the Honda boot. But the Honda boot requires the boot, and you got to buy the band clamps. Doesn't come, if you're buying stuff from Honda, it's usually just one piece, and you got to get everything separate. This one was a little more enticing because as an alternative part on that Honda boot, it had this melt joint boot, which I didn't know was a melt joint boot. I just saw it as a boot that came with grease and the bands, and I was like, sick. This is a cheaper route than buying all the parts separate. So, just a little info for you if you're trying to buy Honda parts in Japan because you don't want to buy the cheap Chinese ones over here. Just be aware you're buying a boot and you got to buy the bands and you got to buy the grease. So keep in mind you got to buy all that stuff. But with this one, we got the boot, which is a split boot. So it splits apart. It comes with grease. It comes with the glue that we're going to use to seal the whole thing back up together again. It's really cool because it clamps together almost like a Ziploc, if you will. Just like, it's got like a, you can kind of see like the catch that it's got, like a male and female, essentially. So it locks into the boot. And then at that point, we glue it all together. And get this. It has a little boot insert so it, when you clamp on it, it grabs on. And then here are the clamps, inner and outer. But here's the fun part. It comes with like a heat pad. So I guess if you're skiing or you're snowboarding, maybe you can hold on to this and it'll keep your hands warm. Or if you're doing this in the cold, this would be kind of fun to hold on to. But yeah, so this is what we'll put up against the glue to, I guess, cure it. Obviously, the directions are all in Japanese, so I will have to translate it, but essentially, it gives you directions on how to use it. Cleaning it, you glue it, you put the glue on, and then you put it around and you push it together, and then at that point, you put the heat pad on it, and it shows them like pulling on it, making sure it doesn't split. So this was a part that Mazda was using. So obviously Mazda was, fixing CV axle boots without having to remove the entire CV axle, I'm sure in certain cases. So it saved the mechanic and everybody time and money. So just kind of something cool that we're going to try out today and see if it works. That was a really long intro, almost 8 minutes. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this one off. I got some tin snips. We'll try that. I usually have a little Dremel that will cut the band, but we'll see if we can get tin snips, and then we'll get the old boot off and we'll clean it and we'll stick that on and see what happens. So tin snips worked on the outer clamp, so we can get that off. One clamp removed. Let's get the inner clamp. Some kind of sealant on the inside one, like a gasket sealer. Weird. It's kind of weird. Got a gasket seal on it. I wonder if this boot was already replaced at one time and it failed again. Alright, I got some gloves. I don't want all this grease on me, so I'm just going to cut the old boot off. Tin snips, a razor blade, something to cut the rubber. I do have to admit, I don't like working with axles and grease like this stuff. It's just thick and nasty and gets everywhere. Alright. Oh shoot, I took the wrong boot off. No, I'm kidding. There's the rip right there. So it just happened. The grease inside's pretty clean. There's no dirt. Okay, so now directions obviously show cleaning all the old grease off the shaft. And so I'll go ahead and clean that up and we'll be right back. While I'm cleaning this up, let's have a little conversation, a little one-on-one. What do you guys think about the ducks? Should we just do stuff talking about the ducks only? Or should I try to just incorporate them with K stuff every time? I'm just curious. I get a lot of people bummed out when they don't see my ducks. I'm wondering if I should just make some random videos on the ducks alone. Just kind of a day in the life with the ducks. It's kind of uneventful for the most part, because they will sleep for a long period of time, and then they'll just kind of party, and then they'll sleep. Most of the time when they make an appearance is when they're just kind of cruising around the property, mainly because they're probably curious what I'm doing. But yeah, I'm just wondering if you guys want to see more of the ducks. Okay, this is looking real. Oh, it's a forearm workout, turning the axle while wiping it on my. I did forearms today. My forearm's gonna cramp up. Yeah, I need some water. That looks pretty clean. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So, I'm going to need to turn the camera off so I can do some translating. Because it's all in Japanese. I know I do not speak the Japanese. Just to make sure that we do it right, because obviously I don't want this thing to fail. So, let me do some translating, and then we'll come back and put the boot on. Okay, so it has like a slotted end side, I should say, and then the other side, you know, has the ridge that slips in the slotted end. So the end that is slotted, that other side goes into, that's where we squirt the glue into. We get a bunch of glue in there, make sure everything has got glue, and then we will push it together after we get glue in there with our glue, and use the heated pad for about, it says 8 minutes. We'll just go 10, and then we will make sure that everything is good. But it gives you this little guy. It's very small pointed tip to allow you to get inside. So let's go ahead and give that a try. Probably just like super glue. Smells like super glue. Oh man, I feel high. So let's get I gotta do it out here in the light, but you get the idea. Fill it in everywhere inside the crack. They call it welding agent, so we're welding my dudes. Gotta lay down some yen here. Okay, I'd say that's probably enough. So let's go ahead and slip this on now and push it all together so it squeezes out. Ooh, almost got sprayed with it. I mean, it's a pretty good click when it goes into itself. So you'll know. Okay, so now we take the heating pad. I'm just gonna put a little glue on the outside just to feel better. Okay, so there's a lot of glue on there. They give you a lot of glue too, so I got a lot left over. All right, so let's take our heating pad, open it. It says to remove the paper. Oh, it's like a sticky. Oh shoot, stick it to itself. And then we'll put it on the boot. Ooh, I feel it's getting warm. I think it just activates with air because it's getting warm. I didn't have to do anything. But it's like a sticker. So you peel the sides off and then you stick it to the boot. I'll try to shake it up a little bit. Ooh, it's getting warm. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that on there. And we'll come back in like 10 minutes and give it a little tug and see what happens. So the boot is setting right now. That pad gets pretty wicked hot. Like, it's hot if you leave your hand on it. So it's definitely doing its melting. So if these work, I would like to try to find these for the sandbars. Again, this isn't going to work all the time because if the boot's been split for a while, some crud could get inside there, and you really want to take the stuff apart and really clean it and get any kind of dirt or sand or whatever can get inside, then would, then mess up the little bearings inside, the little ball bearings. But if it's a fresh tear, like you were just doing some work and ripped your boot, or you caught it in a good amount of time, this type of boot is going to save you a lot of time, because you don't have to yank the axle out. Again, it's not very difficult to yank the axle out. It just requires special tools. You need to get a slide hammer, and then the sandbar takes the smaller prong that you can get with the slide hammer. There's two sizes. There's one really big one. I think it's like 60 something millimeters, something like that, and the other one's 40. I could be wrong, but the bigger one is for the Acty, and the smaller one fits the sandbars. If you get the attachments with the slide hammer, which usually comes with an attachment, at least if you buy them off of Amazon, out of the two attachments, Acty is a big one, sandbar is a small one. So it would be cool to get these split boots, so if you don't want to pull your axle because you just ripped it and you don't want to have to take everything apart, this will save you a lot of time. I mean, seriously, if I just finished this thing right now, I did it in like 30 minutes when having to remove all this stuff. I mean, axle nut, taking this off, which you got to go inside the cab, taking ball joints, stuff like that, to be able to get this out far enough away from the axle to get the axle out. This is a huge time saver, which that's awesome. Saves me time, so then I can work on other things, because I don't have one car here. I've got 6 or 7 cars here that I need to work on. So we're gonna let this get hot a little bit longer, and then we'll let it kind of cure, and then we'll give it a little pull test, like a tug test that's shown in the picture. Be right back. All right, let's get tally ho in here. So it's been like a good 15 minutes. I just got off the phone with a fellow sandbarian, bringing a sandbar here because he's got some oil leaks. No bueno. Man, seriously, that feels good. It's nice. Oh my gosh, it's actually really hot. That's crazy. Okay, so we'll give it a little test. I'm pulling on it, man. She ain't letting go. So I'd say that's working. Now, we do have to insert like these little rubber sleeves. So we'll go ahead and put that. See how well that goes in there. Boom, there we go, bingo. Okay. Make sure our boot isn't split. Nah, boot's good. Of course it's not split. It's freaking Japanese, man. Japanese stuff is good. Okay, so let's go ahead and let me get a rag. I'll clean my hands, and then we'll put the band on it. Okay, so now let's put the band on. Oh, interesting. Okay, so the band, you peel up. There's like a real thick one. So you peel that up, and then I think you get it on the other side of this little bump, and then almost like you ratchet it in. Not ratchet, but it presses on it, and then gets it really tight. There we go. Bingo. Okay, there ain't no way that dude did that by hand with no tools. That's crazy. Okay, so that one is in. Now, you have to, you can kind of see it's got the little clasp like this. The band sits in, and then it's got to squeeze over it. Ew, my hands just made a sweaty, squishy sound. Okay, so that one is good. No movement. Now, first we grease it. So we'll take our ketchup squirt bottle. the good ketchup. And we'll peel back the boot a little bit. And we'll shoot this stuff inside. Be sure to make that noise. And once we start driving, it'll fling around inside there. Okay, let's see if we can slip the band in, which everything's now going to be greasy and slippery. Just going to make putting that band on fun. There we go. Just kind of turn it and help it kind of feed it in a little bit at a time. Kind of helps if you pull the boot up a little bit and it kind of sucks it in there. Make sure we're not overlapping and we're just touching, which is the right position we want it to be. Now the other band. Same deal with this one. It has like this thicker one that we bend up, which will then grasp over the little hump and then pull it tight. It really pulls tight on that sucker. Okay. Alright, now the fun part. We gotta get the dumb thing to stay down. Well, we put the tabs in. Let's see if I can just pop it with the hammer. Okay. Now let's put the other tab in. There we go. Frick yeah. Oops. Bingo. Make sure it's on there good. Nothing's moving. So, there we go. Split boot has been applied. There you have it. Split boot on the Honda Acty. Now, I know there are probably different versions of the split boot, but again, this is a Mazda genuine part from Japan. So, I mean, it doesn't get more real than that. If Mazda was using it, then I'm going to say that they're probably a very good alternative to yanking the whole shaft and changing everything. So obviously we're not really going to know if it's going to work or not completely after the guy drives it for a while. So I'm obviously going to post this, show you guys that this part does exist, and that's how you install this particular one. Maybe I'll do like an update on all the description below. If he tells me it doesn't hold and I had to fix it again, then I will say do not buy these. But right now, that saved me a ton of time pulling the axle and everything like that. Plus you risk screwing stuff up when you pull the axle out and everything. So if you don't have to do that, then I always say if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because you could mess something up when you don't need to go to that extent. But some of you guys are old school and you want to change the whole thing, which is totally fine too. I just need something that's a little less time consuming and works at the same time, because I have a lineup of cars that need to get done, and this will save me time. So there you go. If this does work out, I'll probably try to put these on my website, because I do really like that concept. That's really cool. I've never really seen a split boot in person before. That is the first time, and I really like it with the glue and the heating and all that stuff. Seems very professional. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put the wheel on and we'll go take it for a little test drive. But cool. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Like and subscribe and all that fun stuff if you would feel inclined. Not sure if that's the right word, but I really do appreciate it. Your feedback and your comments and everything like that. I try to get to it all, and some of it make me laugh. I need a good laugh every once in a while. But cool. okgarage.com if you need parts. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next one.